The goose is loose. The goose is loose, ladies and gentlemen. Happy Wednesday. It's another incredible episode of Wednesday Wisdom. And have I got a treat for you all? I was able to wrangle on very short notice the most incredible person that you have not heard from. A lot of you have, especially if you're in the Houston, in and around the Houston and greater Houston area. A lot of you'll know the name, obviously, I'm about to drop. But for many of you throughout the state, you may not be, you don't know who this incredible individual is. His name is none other than Mr. Frank Gray. I'm going to have him come on and introduce himself, but he's going to be telling us a little bit about how he has grown his team, how he has done some of the incredible things that he's done throughout his long and illustrious career. And it's a little bit about a goose, right? We may talk a little bit about a goose. So, Mr. Frank Gray, welcome to the Wednesday Wisdom Podcast. Will you take a moment just to introduce yourself to all of our agents? Now, of course, this is EXP agents and non-EXP agents that are checking this out, but would you please introduce yourself? Of course, everyone at EXP knows who you are, but there's some folks that are watching this that aren't. So
Sure. Yeah. Well, I'll just do a quick overview of who I am in my real estate career. But it started, back in 1992, if you can believe that. When I share that information in classes, it's like it was before half the people in the room were even born. So I don't know how I'm not old with that kind of story. But my wife was pregnant with our first child. We were living in St. Louis, Missouri, wanted to be closer to family once we started our family. And my mother was in the real estate industry. So I flew down here. She set up some interviews with some local home builders. I got hired by the David Weekley Company and began selling new homes in Cinco Ranch on the west side of Houston. Interestingly, in that role, I met Jimmy Franklin, and we became really good friends and business partners. I spent a couple years there selling new homes, and then I was hired away by the REMAX organization, spent the bulk of my career with them running regions, Missouri, Ohio, Florida, Carolinas, came back to Texas in 2010 as the business productivity director for REMAX of Texas. My job was to consult with broker owners in all the major metro areas in Texas and teach them how to grow large, profitable real estate offices. And the way that I taught them, my philosophy was for them to be the coach to their real estate agents. And what I often said to them was, how would you feel if Brian Buffini opened up an office across the street from your office?
Oh, wow.
How would you feel if Tom Ferry opened up an office across the street? Well, we would be intimidated because we know the quality of coaching those guys would provide. And so I coached my broker owners, be the coach. Help your agents achieve whatever it is that they're trying to achieve. Identify their aspirations, help them achieve those, and you will find yourself being highly attractive. Well, we had great success in every major metro area, growing agent count, growing market share. And then in 2013, I had the opportunity to fulfill a career-long dream, which was to become a real estate salesperson. Believe it or not, I always wanted to be an agent. I was the guy on the stage handing out trophies to all these top producers, thinking, man, I'd like to be on the other side of the trophy. And so in 2013, I was given the opportunity to become the business coach at REMAX, the Woodlands and Spring. As part of that move, I negotiated the right to sell houses. And within 8 months, my part-time evenings and weekend income from selling houses was more than my daytime job, which produced a 6-figure salary. And within that 8-month period, I became top 10% in the office. And this was the office which was the #1 most productive office in the state of Texas, and was there 4 years, 4 delightful years. Really enjoyed that experience, loved selling houses. But at the end of 4 years, my part-time job was producing 3 times the income of my daytime job, and something had to give. So I left REMAX. I went independent. I opened my own brokerage, Abbey Realty, which was designed really just to be a real estate team. I was just going to go all in on sales with a small team. Started with 4 agents. The next week, 3 more joined us. The next week, 3. The next week, 3. It continued at exactly that pace for 4 straight years.
Wow.
And we were at 472 agents on our 4-year anniversary. And by the way, I grew my company exactly as I had coached these REMAX brokers to become the coach. And we provided world-class training, tools, technology, events, and it was highly attractive. I said we grew to 472. I didn't recruit all those agents. Our agents brought their friends. It was truly an attraction model. But at our 4-year anniversary party, we had a big celebration. I stood up and announced that I was moving to eXp Realty. And I invited my agents to come with me. Most of them had already been pre-warned. In fact, I had taken our 25 top producers out to EXPCon with me the month before. Not for them to validate my decision or so. I just wanted them to get an intensive exposure to eXp Realty, a crash course. I had spent months vetting eXp. I knew they wouldn't have months with this announcement. And so I wanted them to get an intensive exposure to what eXp was all about. So they joined me in supporting that decision and validating the move to eXp. We didn't bring all 472 with us. We brought 80% of our production, though, and 160 of the agents came with me. It was our top producers, our team leaders, our experienced agents. We lost most of the newbies and the part-timers, but brought a real solid crew to eXp, and we have grown modestly since then, not at the exponential rate that we still hope to grow at, but we
you just got here.
Yeah,
you just got here.
still feels brand new. But I announced publicly to our agents when we came over that I was committed to growing our group to 1,000 agents, and I've never lost sight of that goal. Super excited about it. The reason I came to eXp Realty and invited my agents to come with me was all the tools it provides to agents to enable them to achieve at any level of aspiration. And that's what I'd always promised my agents at Abbey Realty. If there's a better tool out there, you find it, I'll get it for you. But when I got exposed to eXp and I saw, oh my goodness, I mean, rev share, I can't do that. Health insurance, I can't do that. International referral network, can't do that. Relocation department,
Frank. It's not a pitch for EXP, brother.
I know, I just can't help it. You push my button, it comes out. So it is hard.
I know.
But,
I appreciate
but it's all about production. It's all about agents achieving their dreams. And I've just not found a platform that provides an opportunity like eXp does. So there, I'll try to be careful and not, go into that mode again. But I'm as excited now as I was when we joined at our 4-year anniversary. There's my story.
I appreciate that, Frank, and I know it's hard, right? Because when you have something great, you can't help but share the story and tell people about it. So I appreciate the heart, that it comes from. It's not selling. Yes. It's just like, hey, this is my story, and this is what excited me. And I was a part of that process. So you were actually the first really big team that I helped to kind of integrate into EXP. Yes. So I had only beat y'all in the door by like 30 days or something. So that was really exciting time for me as well. So that was, I think, just over a year ago now.
That's correct.
A few months. So yes, it's been an incredible ride, and it's been exciting to watch you and watch kind of the moves that you've been making with your team and watch the growth there. I want to get back to this coaching thing though, right? Yes. And I absolutely love that mentality. What do you think, or I guess when you had a new agent coming on board, and generally the way that we try to have these chats are at 3 different levels, and I know you've seen success at each of those levels. So we talk to the new agents, right? Maybe agents that are just coming in, they're just getting started, just getting their feet wet. Maybe they're part-time. They're maybe trying to take that 4-figure income and turn it into a 5-figure income. Yes. And then that next level of agent that now maybe they're capping. And we'll talk a little bit about that, but they want to really take it to that next level, go from a capper to a true top producer at wherever they're at, EXP or otherwise. And then finally, those, mega icons, right? How do we go from being a top producer to someone that's able to apply leverage and able to actually really scale this thing and maybe grow an Abbey Realty or maybe grow a huge team in an organization like you've done. So let's start with the newbies, right? That you talked about. What's your strategy when you would bring someone on board to this day? When you bring someone on board, what's that conversation like? Because I think I heard you talk about this at one of our state meetings, and I was really impressed with the answer. So how do you put money in agents' pockets when they come in the door and they say, I'm a new agent, I need to sell some houses? What do I do, Frank?
Yeah, absolutely. So I do follow a model just about with everybody the same way. I start by asking them how long they've lived in the area. Most people have lived in the area at least a few years. And so then I ask the question, well, how many people do you know by first name? Or if you bumped into them at the grocery store, you would at least know that you know them, even if you had to struggle to think of their first name. And generally, agents will say something, even if they've lived here their entire life, they'll say, "Oh, I know about 25 people, maybe 30 people." And I know that's not true.
Right, right,
Right.
right.
I know it's not, between their school friends and their neighbor friends and their previous work friends and doctor, dentist, nail tech, yard guy. It just goes on and on and on. But they think they don't know anybody. So I lead them through a process of identifying how many people they do actually know. And all those people have one thing in common. They live in a house,
There you are.
right?
There you got it.
There's a roof over their head. They may not own it. They might be renting it. It might be an apartment, but they have shelter. They have a need for shelter, and they have found a way of obtaining that shelter. We also know that historically 15% of them are going to move every year, 1 out of 7. And
Mm.
so I take them through this process of creating this big list of everybody that they know. And then I work on their mindset, helping them to understand that just if I can get them to a list of 100, we know that 15% are going to move. That's 15. Half of those are going to be local moves. So now we're up to 22 transactions with their inner circle, their top 100. Of that top 100, every one of them know 5 other people that are going to move this year. That's an additional 500 potential transactions. Half of those will be local moves. So we could call it 750 potential referrals. Now, obviously, we're not going to get all those, but let's just say we got 1% of the potential referrals. Well, that's 7.5 transactions just right there. And of the 22 transactions among the people that we know the best, if we only got half of those, that's 11. You put those together, that's 18. That's 1.5 transactions a month. And that
Wow.
that
Wow.
alone is 4 times the productivity of the average agent in America. So I try to get them focused on, first of all, reach out to the people who already know you, like you, trust you. And I really stress that because most agents want to go to their sphere last because they feel inadequate. They're brand new. They're not sure what they're doing. They don't want to be embarrassed in front of friends and family. So they want to practice on strangers.
Yeah, right.
Yeah, they do. But the challenge is strangers are not going to give them the time of day. They
Right.
don't have any relationship with them. They're not rooting for this agent's success like their friends and family are. People who care about you want you to be successful. And if they can play some role in helping you be successful, they're naturally inclined to do that. So I encourage brand new agents to reach out to their current sphere. Because these people are going to be patient with them because they know they're new. These potential clients, friends and family, though, they do want a competent realtor. And knowing that you're new, you have to have a mentor alongside you, an experienced agent alongside you who can assure that the client has a great experience. But the challenge is if agents wait, if they refuse to reach out to their sphere and they focus on stranger marketing, most of them are going to be out of money, out of reserve funds, and out of the business before they even gave themselves a chance to be successful. So that's a long answer to a short question. But the first thing I
Wow.
do is I get them focused on their sphere.
But that is a long answer, but it is jam packed with nuggets. I mean, I'm trying to figure out which thing I want to extrapolate first. Starting with the folks that know you and already like you and trust you, at least to some degree.
Yes.
I love that concept. You know, you're not the first person. And again, for those of y'all that have been watching the podcast for some time, you will notice reoccurring themes from these top producers. From, I mean, I don't bring anyone on this podcast unless they're, you know, super high production by anyone's standards. And you will notice the same sort of reoccurring theme. And you know, the very first one we had Jay Kinder on here, 536 transactions by himself in the 12-month period, and he spoke along the very same lines that you're talking about. You know, in terms of farming your own network, your own database. Elizabeth Riley talked about the same thing, farming your own database and increasing your database, meet more people, know more people, and then just
Yes.
work on those people, right?
Yes.
So I absolutely love that concept. It doesn't change. And I think that you're right. I mean, I think that a lot of times agents think that they're looking for this new whiz bang, you know, technology or these new things, that there's always a shortcut or some kind of thing. And
Yes.
it's like, you don't know what you're doing yet, right? So
Right.
why don't you figure out what you're doing with the people that have the patience to you know, work with you when you screw up the
Yes.
auto search, and when you screw up, you know, that hopefully you're not screwing up a contract, but you know, when you're making mistakes down the road, working with the people that love you. I think that's so key. That's critical. So what are some of the objections that you hear when you tell that agent, hey, pull out a list, or we're going to pull out the spreadsheet, and as
Yes.
I do, and you have to put 100 names in here, have to
Yes.
100 names, 100 emails, 100 you know, emails and phone numbers, and we're going to work through it together. What's
Yes.
the objections that you hear?
Yeah, so again, it's very consistent. The response is, I just don't know that many people, you know.
Yeah.
So what I tell them is, I don't accept that excuse. And I say, you know what? You could put me in an airplane right now, strap a parachute on my back, and drop me off anywhere in this country and say, Frank, you are responsible for starting a real estate sales career from scratch in a city where you don't know a soul, you've never even vacationed, whether it's Pittsburgh or Seattle or Kansas City, it doesn't matter. I said, you drop me into that city, and I guarantee you I'll have 100 local people in my database by the end of the week. By the
How?
end of the week.
How?
It is so simple. You just start plugging into organizations. You join the local chamber of commerce, the Kiwanis Club, the Toastmasters Club. You go online to these meetup groups. Say you have an interest in raising honeybees or photography or anything at all. Any hobby you can imagine, there are groups meeting around that topic. And I encourage them, you should be in a meeting of people who share something in common every single day of the week. And at the end of the week, I guarantee you're going to have 100 people in there.
I love it.
So,
I love it.
so there's just no excuse, no excuse. And if people said, "Oh, but I don't like people, I don't like groups," well, probably you're in the wrong business. Um, but
Yeah.
there are other ways, of course, other than just going from group to group. With the KV Core Property Boost, we're generating leads at an average cost of $5 a piece. And these are people who put in their name, phone number, and email address. And they're not just generic homeowners who live in the area. These are people who've registered online saying, I have a real estate need. I
Right.
think I want to buy a house. I may not be ready right now. I may not know what part of town. But if you think about it from this perspective, if you invested $500 in KV Core Property Boost ads, you will generate 100 leads. Well, there you go. There's a second path to having 100 people in your database in 1 week. In this second group, though they've not met you personally, there's a difference between these groups. The first one, you've made some kind of connection, some type of affinity with these people. You joined their club or their exercise group or whatever. But with this second one, they're more highly motivated
Yeah.
because they've stated they have a real estate need. Nobody randomly signs up on real estate websites. If they put in their name and email address and phone
They're
number,
raising their hand. Yes.
they're raising their hand. That's
Yeah.
exactly right. And if you just use some proven conversion strategies and dialogues, you're going to get more than your fair share of those. So there's no excuse in my world for not getting 100 people in your database, overnight almost. Certainly within a week or two, because that first 100 is going to generate your first $100,000. In
Right.
fact, I've done the metrics over and over again. If you have 100 local families in your database in the market area that you're serving, and you reach out to them consistently with a comprehensive sphere of influence marketing strategy, it will generate $100,000. And that correlates up. If you target, I want to make $250,000 in the next 12 months, then I have a short formula for that. Get 250 families in your database
There you
and
are.
market to them, because it is a one-to-one. One local family equals about $1,000 a year in commission income on average. Obviously, most of them are not going to do business with you this year, but those who do business with you will generate an $8,000, $9,000, $10,000 commission income.
So, and I love that concept, Frank. Let me ask you. It's been my experience sometimes that agents want that, yeah, I'm willing to pay $500, but only if I make 5 deals next month, right? I need to
Yes.
do 5 deals next month based on this. And I heard you talk about mindset, and that's another thing that you really focus on when agents come in the door. How do you help set expectations? How do you help realign mindsets for newer agents?
Yeah. So, I mean, there's a lot of ways to attack that issue. One of them is in my teaching. Every time I introduce a particular lead source and its accompanying strategies and tactics in the budget, I start with mindset. And I share the critical truths that the agent must adopt as reality if they are going to be successful with this particular lead source and strategy. They have to get their mind right first, because let's just take online leads for an example. We were talking about KV Core Property Boost. That's one way to generate online leads. If you have the mindset, oh, these are 100 people who want to buy houses. Oh my goodness. Well, that's going to 100. I get an $8,000 commission. That's an $800,000 pool of income that I'm going to make from these 100 leads. And they're going to be happy to hear from me because, doggone it, they registered and they said they wanted help. If that's their mindset, they are in for quick disappointment, burnout, and they'll never do an online lead again. They have to understand that even though these people register and even though they have a real need, they may have registered on multiple websites. They all may already have an agent, maybe an unresponsive agent, and so they've decided to take the initiative and generate their own stuff. I tell them that working online leads, and this is the mindset issue that's going to be most successful with them, is like looking for the golden needle in the haystack, right? We got to go through a lot of chaff, a lot of hay, a lot of debris. But if we have the conviction, doggone it, there is a golden needle in there and I'm going to find it. Then when we encounter resistance or non-response or even hostility, as we're working through these online leads, we're like, oh, that was hay, that was debris, that was chaff. Now I'm one step closer to finding the golden needle. And even a 1% conversion rate on online leads will make an agent wealthy. We talked about the metrics a moment ago. At a 1% conversion rate, you're going to need 100 leads. You could buy that with $500 through KV Core Property Boost. Average sale price in Houston right now is over $400,000 on a 3% commission, which we're still typically getting on a buy side. That's a $12,000 commission. Invest $500 to make $12,000. Who wouldn't do that? Right. And so you just have to have the mindset within these 100 leads. There is a $12,000 paycheck waiting for me. Yep. And I have to but I don't know which one it is. So I have to treat every one like it's the one and use assumptive language when I'm talking to them. Be persistent in my outreach to them because they may not respond to my first call, my first 5 calls, my first 10 calls. That's okay. I coach agents. When somebody gets in my world, they never get out.
That's right. Buy or die, right?
Buy or die. That's it. And that's a mindset issue. That doggone it, this is a career path that I chose to support my family, to provide for our needs, and to fund aspirations, the really cool things that we want to do in life, whether it's for us or for other people. And if this is the career path that I have chosen, then I need to be committed to it. I need to understand what it takes. You don't just wake up in the morning and say, oh, I'm going to be a Navy SEAL today. I mean, you better have some understanding of what it takes just to get through SEAL training, much less to be in the daily responsibilities of a Navy SEAL. It's the same way with a real estate agent. Most agents come in completely unaware of what they've signed up for. They think this is a career of showing people pretty houses and then picking up big checks and going to the restaurant or the bar to celebrate. They don't understand the nitty gritty, what I call making the sausage. The
Uh-oh. Yeah.
real, yeah, the hard, the messy work that goes on behind the scenes to get that incredible product at the end. So that's that's one of the key components of educating newly licensed agents to a point of success, is helping them understand what they signed up for, what Navy SEAL training actually looks like. And what it looks like a lot is this: on the phone, dialing, reaching
Hmm.
out, also texting, also sending social media messages, um, doing some direct mail. It's reaching out in a variety of ways, because you don't know which one that this prospect is ultimately going to respond to. But if you
That's great.
understand that this is the hard work, this is the blood, sweat, and tears. But if you've set your aspirations high enough, and your financial requirement for your career is going to fund those aspirations, that's what will see you through the nitty gritty, the making the sausage, the Navy SEAL training, is because you know it is unto something that is very important to you.
So a few things there, I think, to unpack. Firstly, it brings to mind a quote. I think it was Vince Lombardi, if I'm not mistaken, but he said, "Hey, find the cost for success and pay it."
Yeah.
Right. So
Yeah.
find out how much it costs, find out what it is you want, right? And then how much is it going to cost to get you there, and then pay that
Yes.
cost as quickly as possible. And I think that that's along those lines. Further, I love your golden needle in the haystack analogy. And I think we all know, or should know, the answer to the proverbial needle in the haystack, right?
Yes.
Is to bring a magnet. So
Yeah, there you
that's
go.
that's how you find the needle in the haystack. Bring a magnet. And I think that the mindset is that magnet. It's the mindset that you
Yes.
bring that's going to attract that needle out of there, and attract that to you. So I absolutely
Yes.
love that.
Yeah.
So I think that's great for our newer agents that are looking to get started, or really looking to kind of get that momentum going. Let's
Yes.
take it to the next level, Frank, of agents that are having a little bit of success. Maybe they've made it into a part-time thing, but they want to go full-time now. They want to take that 4 or 5 figure business and turn it into a 6 figure real estate business, where they're actually able to support themselves, provide for their family through their real estate
Yes.
endeavors. What's your strategy for working with those agents?
So it's really twofold. We started them on sphere of influence. And what I want them to do, first of all, is maximize the potential of their current sphere. Um, and I don't know what that's going to look like for them. It might be 50,000 annual income, 100,000, 150. They may be able to fully fund their aspirations just from their sphere. But when they've maximized that, whatever that is, then I encourage them to start adding lead sources.
Okay.
I don't think they should jump in with 7, 8, 9 sources, and they're going to say, "Oh, but Elizabeth Riley does, and the Franklin team does." Well, sure, but they've got years of experience and lots of people working those on their behalf. So, an agent in the position that you described, after they've maximized their sphere, they should start adding 1 or 2 other sources, and it could be as simple as, for example, open house.
Yes.
Start hosting open houses. And I encourage agents to realize there's 2 days every weekend, not just one. So you can host open a Saturday and a Sunday. And there's not just 2 hours in a Saturday and a Sunday. There's about 10 or 12 hours of daylight most of the year. So you could even host 2 open houses a day on a Saturday and on a Sunday. And now you have quadrupled your opportunity for generating new business from open house just by that one strategy alone. Now, there's lots of ways that we can dramatically increase the effectiveness of our open houses, but that's one simple way. It's everybody wants to work smarter, not harder, right? I mean, everybody, even me, but very few of us actually get to smart work without doing the hard work first.
Right. Right.
And part
Right.
of that is it's in doing the hard work. It's in getting the experience, being in the field for long enough hours. That's when we get smart. about creating efficiencies and where we're getting the most bang for the buck and what neighborhoods generate the highest return. We don't get the smartness without doing that hard work. So I do tell agents right up front, if you're trying to break through to another level in your business and you're not at a team level yet, it is going to require more hours. So that's the first thing I'd say. They're working part-time, trying to get full-time in real estate. I'd say, how many hours in your week do you have available to devote to your real estate career? Have you maximized those yet? If not, then let's identify. You got another 3 or 4 hours that you can devote? Terrific. Let's add another lead source. Let's try open houses, for example, or let's try online leads. But identify the time component and then the additional source of business that they're going to exploit. And I would stay within, you mentioned Goose earlier, I'd stay within the 4 core sources that generate 95% of real estate sales: geofarm, online leads, open houses, and sphere of influence. I would do those before I jump off into any of these other exotic sources. And there's hundreds of them in our business, and they all work at some level. But you want to pick the low-hanging fruit first. And it is this geofarm, open house, online leads, and sphere where they're going to get the most bang for the buck.
I absolutely love it. And by the way, my gosh, there's been so much incredible value already. Thank you, Frank. For everyone watching this, please smash that like button. I cannot imagine that you've been sitting here and not gotten a page full of notes that you're able to take out and apply today, no matter where you're at in your business. And top producers, don't worry, we're coming for you next. But in the meantime, smash that like button and smash that subscribe button, as well as the bell and the notification icon, so that you see every time we go live, as we do every single Wednesday. So no, I love that, Frank. What online strategies are the best right now? What's working right now? So we've been talking about some offline stuff, sphere of influence stuff, of course, open house stuff, which, by the way, go back, if anyone's watching this, go back to I think maybe 2 weeks ago we had Pat Hayes on, and he went deep into open houses. You also do check that out. He went into the nitty-gritty on how to pull off an open house and how he grew his incredible organization on the back of open houses. So but let's talk about online strategies, Frank. What's your team doing right now to someone that says, hey, I want to do online stuff?
Yeah, so there's a couple different strategies that are available right now, and I have agents working both of these main streams. One is to pay a higher cost for the lead and allow someone else to do the incubation of the lead, and they turn it over to you when the lead is ready to actually go look at a house or ready to talk to an agent about listing their property. Now, sometimes teams will do that with their own virtual assistant. They'll hire somebody, typically in the Philippines or in Mexico or Nicaragua, to follow up on these leads, to do the hard work, the nitty gritty, and nurture it until they're ready to meet. But Zillow is really moving in this direction very, very quickly, where if you're going to be one of their premier agents, you have signed up for their incubation service, and their staff is going to incubate it and then turn it over to you when the lead is ready. Both of those are very appealing to real estate agents because it allows them to get to the good stuff, what agents really enjoy doing, which is working in face-to-face with buyers and sellers, showing homes, negotiating deals. The challenge with that side is it's a lot more expensive. You're paying a lot for the leads, or you're paying staff, or you're paying a VA, someone else to nurture the leads, who probably is not as good as doing it as you would be if you devoted some effort to sharpening your skills. So that leads to the other primary strategy with online leads, is buy them cheap and get as many as you can. It's not so much a quality game, it's a quantity game. And most people say, well, I'll always take quality over quantity. Well, not so fast when it comes to online leads. One of the reasons I'm so high on them is that you can buy them so inexpensively. And I'll just go back, just by example, Core Property Boost, $5 a lead. You can buy them cheaper other places. There are Facebook lead sources where you can buy them probably as inexpensively as $2 or $3. Running your own Facebook ads, if you're a marketing guru, perhaps you can get those results. But what I like about them is that even at a low conversion rate, you can get so many of them so inexpensively that it can turn into an extremely lucrative source of business. An agent who says, well, I just don't know who I'm going to talk to. Well, online leads can generate right now, today, in the next hour business. You can go on a
Right.
listing appointment tonight. You can go show buyers tonight if you're effective with online leads. And Tony, I don't think it's as hard as agents have made it out to be. I don't think it's as complicated. And I speak from experience when saying this. Back when I was a full-time producing real estate agent, I took City leads, now Realtor.com leads, and their top tier of converting agents convert at 6 to 8%, and that really is incredible because the national conversion rate on online leads is typically quoted as 1 to 3%. I think that's inflated. It's probably less than 1%,
Yeah.
but I converted those leads at higher than 10%. The same leads, and these were not incubated leads. They were just people who signed up on the website. So how did I get 10%, better than 10x the results of the typical agent using those same leads? I just called them. I didn't give up. And when I called them, I wasn't being a salesperson. I was being a helper. Hey, this is Frank with EXP Realty. I saw that you registered online, interested in this home on 123 Elm Street. My goodness, that is a gorgeous home. I've looked at it online, and I've sold homes in that neighborhood, and I'm telling you, that's an incredible property. Is there a time available on your schedule, maybe this evening or tomorrow afternoon, where I could go show it to you? I mean, it really is that simple. we we make it far more complicated than it is, because we have to have, this is a mindset issue. When people register online, buyers, why do they do that? What are they interested in? They're interested in seeing the home. That's real estate agents for now. This won't be the same forever, but for now, we are still the gatekeepers to MLS properties. And that's why people register. They want to see the home. And if we just understand that going in, and that's what our lead is. We're not trying to qualify them. We're not trying to get them a mortgage. And I've seen online conversion scripts where they go through 88 questions. And I'm
Yeah.
telling you,
Yeah.
I can't imagine that's successful with hardly anybody. People don't want to tell their life story to somebody they never met. Don't go in demanding all this information from them. And if you met with a lender, and agents are so scared about wasting their time. I just treated them like they were a responsible human being, a responsible adult. Did I get burned? Yeah, occasionally I got burned. I showed a property to an unqualified person. But I'm telling you, when you convert at a 10% rate on online leads, it's worth it. It
I
pays
love it.
off. So, and I'll share just one more thing
Go,
on that
go,
before we get
please.
away from it.
Don't let
So
me get in your way, please.
so I this is the other piece of it. You share this, the natural helper script, the approach that I just kind of dialogued with you there. But most of the time, they're not going to answer the phone. You're going to get voicemail. So I do recommend texting, emailing, social media messaging, every other way you have of reaching out. But here's the voicemail dialogue that I think probably was as responsible as anything else for my high conversion rates, is that when I had to leave a message, I would say something similar. Hey, I saw you registered your interest in 123 Elm Street. Love to schedule a time to show that for you. Give me a call back. I'm available this afternoon. And by the way, I'm calling in the morning, I'll say, hey, if I don't hear from you by 2 o'clock today, I know you're probably real busy. I'll save you the trouble and I'll call you back. Okay. So I look forward to connecting with you at 2 o'clock or before. If I don't hear from them by 2, I call them 2 o'clock. Yeah, hey, this is Frank, eXp Realty. Left you a message earlier. You expressed interest in 123 Elm Street. Hey, I've got some time available this evening or tomorrow to show that property to you. There's also a few others I've done some research on that I think are similar. You might be interested in as well. We could maybe see 3 or 4 at the same time. Give me a call back. If I don't hear from you by 6 o'clock tonight, I know you're very busy. You know what? I'll give you a call back and save you the trouble of remembering my number. You do that at least 3 days in a row. Call morning, afternoon, and evening, and you tell them when you're going to be calling back again. I guarantee you by the second day they're calling back or they're answering, because they all of a sudden they realize, oh my goodness, this guy's serious and he's not going to stop. He's going to
Yeah.
keep calling because you tell them what you're going to do and then you do it. And that's what triggers the whole point of online leads is to trigger a response, is to actually start a dialogue, to get
Yep.
in conversation with somebody. Most agents never have a single conversation on online leads. But using that approach, that soft but persistent, and informing them what you're going to do and coming through, I promise you, it is going to generate record-breaking results in your online lead strategy.
Wow. Wow. No, I absolutely love that. And again, success leaves clues. Everyone check out last week. We had the one and only the queen, Monica Foster,
Mm,
and Chris as well with us last week. And that's their chief strategy is online leads. I believe the
yes.
name of that one was Zillow Lead Suck or something catchy like that. Right. And we talked about how to convert Zillow leads and how to convert third party leads. And it's just along these same lines that Frank is talking about and reiterating for us. One of the things that I love that they mentioned was videos, right? And
Yes.
two things, right? Text messaging and videos to really make yourself stand out. And what we've discovered is that in most cases, it's not the Zillow leads, it's not the OpCity leads, it's not the Redfin leads, it's not the third party lead, whoever your lead vendor is. It's not them that suck. It's the fact that your follow up sucks, right? It's the
Exactly.
fact that
Always.
you're not following up and following up and following up, like Frank's saying, and you're not being creative enough in sending videos or trying to schedule Zoom calls or conference calls with folks, and you're allowing another agent to kind of slip in there, as opposed to being that first call and in that first conference and that first face-to-face or face-to-Zoom a meeting, and kind of do that needs analysis with them, and
Yes.
you can do a screen share. Hey, let's take a look at the MLS. Ooh, the illustrious
Yes.
MLS, and you can see I can do a screen share and show you some of this stuff. So I think that that's a huge piece, and showing them kind of, and if you're leaving that video message, hey Stuart, this is Tony. It's not just a phone call. You're literally talking to them face to face. Hey
Yes.
Stuart, I saw that you requested a home. You wanted to tour a home on 123 Main Street. I'm happy to set that up for you. There's another couple homes just using that same script that Frank
Mhm.
used. So, and setting that up, and you're going to stand out miles and miles from anyone else that is reaching out if it is a competitive scenario and you're not getting even exclusive leads. So
Yes. Yeah.
wonderful. So as we're running out of time here, what I want to do, Frank, let's talk to those top producers, right? So now we've taken those agents from, brand new agents. Now we've talked about agents that are full timers, but now they're looking to leverage. Maybe they've got too much coming in. Sometimes we hit that point. We have too many leads. If they're doing
Yeah.
what you're telling them, Frank, they don't have the time to do all this. So how do they take it to
Yes.
that next level and take advantage of every single squeeze the juice out of every lemon that's coming their way?
Yeah. So you said the word. That's why I kind of laughed when you said it. That the key issue with people wanting to reach the highest levels in this business is leverage. That is the word, because to get to that point, you've sharpened your skills and you're operating at a highly effective and efficient level. But now you have to get results from other people to go beyond yourself. You've maxed out your capacity, but you haven't completely funded the aspirations for your life. And so now you're going to have to utilize the time, talents, and sometimes the treasure of other people, have them investing in your success. And so it really comes down to two issues, and that is time and money. Time and money. Those are the two things that you need leverage in. Specific strategies on time typically involve bringing in, and I'm going to say it, new agents. Everybody wants to hire experienced top producing people onto their team, right?
Of course. Yeah.
Experienced top producing people are not interested in being on your team, right? They're not interested in giving up 50-60% of their income to a team leader. So it often is, if not brand new, it is the less experienced agents who show some potential, who show some initiative. They're going to join a team because they want a nurturing environment. Sometimes they want the leads as
And
well. So,
leads, right?
yeah,
That's the biggest thing is
yeah.
leads,
That's the biggest thing in their mind, because
right?
if
Of
they,
course,
yeah, but they do need the coaching. They do need
right.
somebody softening their rough edges, and they will appreciate having somebody who's not just a mentor in another city, but somebody who's right there in the same space with them, coaching them through this. So I would encourage prospective team leaders going to this mega level, be very sensitive to your own comfort zone and span of control. And what I mean by that is, An agent can create mega wealth with a very small team. You know, a triad team where you have the team leader, which is typically the listing agent. You add a buyer specialist who's really good at what they do, and then an administrative and marketing person. That's just a three-person team, but it can be highly lucrative from a bottom line perspective. What happens many times is these teams grow large, sometimes dozens of
Yeah.
agents,
Yep.
and yet they're not making money.
They're not profitable.
They're
Yep.
not profitable. So consider the bottom line, the most important line, not the top line, how much revenue you're generating, how many homes you're selling. Consider what the net is going to be, and you may have a much better life and a better income keeping it small but highly productive. But leverage is the key there, and I would encourage you to be thinking about the virtual route, virtual assistants, to do the admin, to do the marketing, because it's so less expensive from hiring people here, and yet it changes their lives there. It's a great salary for them. And I've got a lot more to say, Tony, but I think we're bumping up against our
We
time
are.
limit.
Thank you
We
so much, Frank, and I appreciate every single minute that you've had to share with us. I mean, everything that you said. I think that folks can take that to the bank right now, immediately, and start to leverage their business wherever they find themselves, from those top tier agents on down the list. And I can tell you, what everything that Frank said is absolutely true. I'm the person that signs all the paychecks around here for all almost 10,000 agents that we have now. And I can tell you, some of the larger teams, unfortunately, are just not profitable. So it takes a very unique skill set, like the people that I bring on this podcast, that can look at it from that perspective and say, hey, yeah, I see the income, but what about everything we got going out, right? And making sure we're running it like a business. So thank you so much. We end this call just like we do every single one of them, by telling you that you are right. You're right. If you've heard everything that Frank told us to do today, and you say, hey, I can do that, you're right. Just like Henry Ford says. And if you look at it and say, hey, I can't do that, it'll never work for me, you're absolutely right about that too. So you choose which route you want to take, and we will see you all at the top.
All right.
Have a
Thank you,
great day.
Tony.
Have a
Enjoyed
great
it.
week. Thanks so much, Frank. Bye-bye.